I've almost got my dividends up to $5,000 a year. My income is about $5,000 a month. When I was at the other division, I was making closer to $6,000 a month. But I was killing myself to make that money. Didn't have time to eat. Didn't have time to take a shower. Nothing. That was balls to the walls, and I did not like it. So over here, I'm a little more laid back, and yeah, I make $250 a week less, but it's also a lot less stress. So, but that's an extra $1,000 a month that I don't have to reinvest or pay down my debt. However, I've almost got my income up with my dividend stocks to where I've pretty much replaced 1 month of my income. So, I'm doing good. I thought I would never say this, but I'm actually thinking about buying a truck. I've noticed that at this company where I'm working now, the owner-operators do better than the company drivers. And per my research, basically, if I can make $200,000 to $250,000 a year, it should cover my expenses and give me more money than what I'm making now net. And if I reinvest that money into my dividend stocks and I'm making 20, 25, 30% return on my investment, then I'll have even more money in my pocket. So I haven't quite decided to do that yet. I'm on the fence because being an owner-operator is a lot of work and a lot of risk. And, although over here, it's really not that cumbersome, if you will. I need to find a good mechanic, which I think I have a good mechanic at home. And I'll have to find a decent mechanic in the area that I run, or a couple decent mechanics in the areas that I run. But where I'm at now, it's all pretty much drop and hook. The loads are mostly light loads, and I very, very rarely have to scale a load. The only time I recall having to weigh a load is when I'm doing Purina deliveries for Tractor Supply. Those are the heavy loads. Some of the Menard loads are heavy, and some of those I have to scale, but very rare. Well, it depends. There's one Menard's place that I pick up brakes and stuff like that. So that one you have to scale it pretty much every time. But the Menards I normally haul out of, I never really have to scale the load, although it can be a little heavy sometimes. They already slide the tandems, they already do all the work. All I gotta do is just double check it and make sure it's legal. But they're still not usually very heavy. 65,000 I think is my heaviest. Maybe a little more. But with Purina, I'm usually pretty well maxed out. So, but I don't don't do a lot of Purina. Mostly I do Home Goods, TJX. I'll run from TJX terminal to terminal, relaying loads. And I'll do Home Goods deliveries. Like my load going home is almost, well, so far has always been Home Goods. And then whatnot. So if I get a decent truck for a decent price, then it should be okay. You know, this truck here, I've hardly had to have any maintenance done to it since I've been driving it. You know, if you take care of it, it should last you a while. But, you know, it's the luck of the draw. You could get yourself a lemon. And I've been driving long enough to know what trucks are decent trucks, but I don't know what years are the good years and the bad years of those certain trucks. For example, I got a list of like pickup trucks to buy and to not to buy. You know, what brand, what year, you know, different things like that. I've been compiling a list. I have not been doing that with 18-wheeler or big trucks because I wasn't planning on buying a big truck, but now I'm thinking about it. If I do, it'll be next year sometime. I know what I want. I know what I like. I understand the new Internationals aren't too bad, but I'm not an International fan. I'm more of a Peterbilt and Kenworth fan, although Peterbilts are a lot more expensive than Kenworths, although they're pretty much the same trucks. And
right curve ahead.
so yeah, I mean, my stocks are down a little bit, but my dividends are up, and I'm making more money on my dividends than I'm losing on the cash value side of the stocks. And right now, all the stocks are down in the stock market for the most part. Even like my Nancy Pelosi stock that I have is down. And Nancy has a track record of making money off the stocks because she's like an insider. But anyway, the reason why I'm making this video is because I think my girlfriend's calling me. Hang on. Yep, I'll call her back. The main reason why I was gonna make this video is because I was thinking about what I said in one of my last videos about changing directions. You know, I had an IT business for years. Started around 2000, and I'm pretty much got burned out around 2017, and I've just been going downhill ever since. I made some money on it, but you know, when you do the analysis of, you know, profits and losses, I've actually lost money in the IT business. With this, I've been more successful so far in the last 2 years than I have overall in any of my businesses that I tried to run or start. So it's like trucker date. The date lines were the only things that actually were pretty much successful in making money. Although Trucker Date, I never really intended to charge for it in the beginning. I wanted it to be 100% free. But about 5 to 10 years down the road, because I started truckerdate.com in 2003. I was the original trucker dating site. I couldn't figure out actually how to make one though until 5 years later. And so I finally had my first trucker dating site in 2008. And it was awesome. It was a huge success. Huge success. And then I added in some white label dating sites on the side for other interests. And that's where I actually made my money. I wouldn't say I made a lot of money, but I did decent. But I had problems with the platform that I was using, and so I ended up moving to a different platform when I should have just stayed there. And it all just kind of fell apart from there. It all just went downhill. And eventually I went back to the original platform that I had Trucker Date on, but it just never recovered. And then the catfish got real bad, the fake profiles, the bots, and I just couldn't keep up with them. So I had more inactive members than I did active members. I had to charge in order to keep the bots and the catfish out, and nobody wanted to pay for it, even though I was charging like dirt cheap prices. And I just, like I said, by the time 2017 rolled around, or 2018, I pretty much just lost interest. And I was holding on, thinking maybe I'll get my mojo back or something, but it never happened. So I had Trucker Date up I owned it for 20 years. I actually only had it up and running successfully or semi-successfully for about 15. I had tons of competition, and they all sucked except for maybe one, and now I own their domain name. They basically, I remember, this is funny, I remember that one year, long time ago, they called me. Well, first, they called me twice. The first time they called me, they tried to threaten me because I owned their .net or something. And they told me that I was breaking the law and it was illegal for me to hold their .net or to use their .net. And it's like, whatever. They was trying to basically force me to sell it to them or give it to them because I was doing something illegal, which I was not. And yeah, they tried to threaten to sue me, and I just laughed at them. Then a couple years later, they called me wanting to sell out. They wanted me to buy them out. And they wanted, I don't remember, some ungodly amount, over $100,000 for their website. And I was like, my website's better than yours, and it's not even probably worth $100,000. You know, why am I gonna buy yours when mine's better than yours? You know. So they lasted a couple more years, and then they shut down. But mine just never took off either. Really, it was better, far better. Like maybe, well, I don't know, maybe 5 times better, 10 times better. But the problem with their website versus my website was they basically were giving female membership away for free and then charging men, which used to be standard practice. But the problem is with that is you got all these catfish you got to screen. And there's usually more female catfish than there are male catfish. Although there are male catfish too. But anyways, it just seemed like there was a lot more female catfish than there were male catfish. Anyhow, so I didn't want to go through
Right curve ahead.
the rigmarole to screen every single female that signed up on my website. So I just charged everybody the same flat rate. And it was cheap. It was like $1 a month. You know? Something like that. It was cheap. And, I mean, if you wanted to buy a monthly subscription, it actually costed a little bit more. But if you paid for like an annual subscription, it was like $1 or a couple dollars a month. It was really, really cheap. And, but still nobody wanted to pay. So, and I did that to basically screen for catfish and bots, keep all the catfish out. So they could sign up all they wanted, but if they didn't pay the $5 or $12 a year, I think it was $5 a month if they signed up monthly, and it got cheaper from there. It was like $3 a month if you signed up quarterly, and like $1.50 or $2 a month if you signed up annually, something like that. It's gone now. I got rid of it, but anyway, yeah, spent a lot of money in advertising, spent a lot of money on
Speed limit reduced ahead.
on software and security, and I spent a lot of time and money on it, and it never really went anywhere. But this, you know, I invested $17,000 so far in the last couple years. My current value is $15,659. So I've lost about approximately $1,500 cash value side, but my gains there it is. Dividends received is $1,600. So right there, I'm pretty much broken even. And then I don't know how they do their math, how this thing does its math, because it looks like with my capital gains, I'm in a negative $1,500, almost $1,600. My realized profits and losses is $1,500, so I'm almost broke even there. And then I've made $1,600 on dividends, so it puts me in a positive $1,500. So now I have done some day trading. I don't do a lot of day trading, but I have done some, and I've mostly just made money on day trading because I kind of refuse to lose money. I won't cash anything out unless it's got a profit. And the only time I've lost money on stocks is if the company goes bankrupt. Like Bed Bath & Beyond. I lost a couple $100 there. So, but that was back when I was a newbie. And I was just starting out. And I didn't know what I was doing. So I still can't say I know what I'm doing, but I know better what I'm doing now than I did 2 years ago. And you know, I just kind of I get advice from other YouTubers, like the Indian guy. That's what I call him, because you know he's Middle Eastern Indian, not Native American Indian, and he's awesome. His YouTube account is called The Minority Mindset. I follow him. I also follow Gen X Dividend Investor, I think is what his YouTube channel is called. And then I also follow the Dividend Bull. But I don't follow those two guys as much as I do the Minority Mindset. And so if you want to know more about stocks, I suggest following them, and especially dividend stocks, because I don't really think long term people make a lot of money in dividend or in day trading. I think you'll make most of your money in dividend stocks, buying and holding. Now I've got a little bit of everything, but I focus most of my money in dividend stocks that pay a higher dividend yield than the interest rate on my debt. So right now, I still have some debt. I'm not debt free yet. I'm working on it, but I'm not quite there yet. So I'm about halfway. I'm about $33,000 in debt. Close to 35, counting my pickup truck. Actually, closer to 40, counting my credit cards. So, I'm $40,000 in debt. I'm building this up to basically match that, while I'm also paying down my debt. So once I get this equal to or greater than the amount of debt that I have, then I'm basically caught up to the 8 ball, and I'm ahead of the 8 ball. Right now I consider myself behind the 8 ball. But I've made more money doing this than I have anything else. And I do have a farm, and I am raising livestock, but most of my animals are like low maintenance animals, so I don't really have to babysit them. I just check on them every time I'm home, make sure they don't need any medication, top off their food. I have automatic feeders there for them. I do rainwater collection, so they usually have plenty of water. The only time that water is an issue is in July and August, when basically we have like a 2-month drought. So water tends to get a little scarce, but not enough. I haven't never ran out of water yet, so that's good. Eventually, when I have more money, I'll drill for water, but basically I just have raw land. We are buying another 30 acres, but we pretty much got that paid for in cash almost. But the mobile home that we were buying from them went into foreclosure. We were paying them, but they weren't paying the bills. So the land went into foreclosure. We bought it out of foreclosure, so we got a really good deal there. And now the mobile home is in foreclosure. We got to buy it out of foreclosure. So next month, we're going to have the land in our name. So we're going to take a loan out on the land to buy the mobile home out of foreclosure. So we'll have a small loan against that, but it'll be almost free and clear. cheap. The people tried to scam us, but it ended up getting a really good deal on 30 acres. The house is a little small, but I'm never really there anyway, so what does it matter? You know, my girlfriend was gonna build a tiny house because she doesn't need much, and I'm hardly ever there, so I'm always out here on the road. But once I get my dividends up, then I can go home more. So my thinking is, as far as buying a truck, you know, once I get my dividends up, I can basically take more time off, but I can't take more time off as a company driver because they want this truck rolling 24/7 almost. So if I can afford to take off and the company doesn't want me to take off, well, then it's in my best interest to be the company. Then when I have enough money coming in on my dividends to where I don't have to work, or I don't have to work as much, I can start cutting back my hours. Be like, hey, I'm gonna take a week off. Instead of 4 days, I'm gonna take 5 days. I'm gonna take 6 days, you know. So that's my game plan. And with this company, I gotta do some more homework. But with this company, if I get, you know, a decent truck for a decent price, I'm looking at maybe $50,000. I can basically quadruple my income here, if not whatever you call 5 times your income. And that's basically what they say that you should be able to make in order to stay afloat. So if I'm making 250 to or 200 to 250,000 a year off the truck, and fuel and maintenance and everything is, say, 100,000 or 150,000, then basically I've doubled my money because I'm only making about 50 or 60,000 right now. Well, I'm making about 60 right now. So at 60,000, I calculated it should cost me about $5,000 a week. No, $5,000 a month in fuel, and approximately the same amount for my other expenses. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. So $10,000 a month. And if you're an owner-operator, correct me if I'm wrong, my trucking expenses should be approximately, on average, about 10 grand a month. So if I'm only making $200,000 a year, then I'll pretty much break even to what I'm making now, and it won't really be worth it. But if I can make $250,000, then that'll be basically $1,100 or almost $11,000 a month versus the $5,000 or $6,000 that I'm making now. So Yeah. So if you can make $250,000 a year driving truck, and you don't have either a lemon or a brand new truck, you should be able to make twice the money that you're making as a company driver. If you get a lemon or you try to buy a brand new truck, you're pretty much going to be a glorified company driver. If you only make $200,000 a year, pretty much the same thing. So you pretty much got to make $250,000 a year in order to get ahead. So if I find a decent truck for a decent price and I can make $250,000 a year here, that'll give me an extra $5,000 a month to invest in dividend stocks. And we'll just say I make an average of 15%, because once I get my debt paid down, I'll be investing in other stocks that pay less percentage, if you will, than what I'm investing in now. Right now, my dividend yield is like 30%, or 27% after fees and tax. So now I'll have to pay a 20% tax on that at the end of the year. But you know, all the expenses that I have with the trucking company and from the farm, I'll be able to write that off against the profit that I make here, and it'll lower my taxes. Now, trucking taxes will be a little higher, but as I move that money over into dividend stocks, I'll basically lower the higher I get my dividends, then the less I got to work on the trucking side, because the more money I'm making on the dividend side, and then I'll lower my taxes on the trucking side because I'll have more money coming in from dividends. And then I'll have the farm as a tax deduction as well. So, and then I'll have more time to focus on the farm. But that's only if I can make 250 or more, and if I find a decent, affordable truck that's not going to nickel and dime me or cost me an arm and a leg. So there's a lot of variables to look at. I started looking a couple months ago, and then I a few weeks ago, and then I kind of backed off the idea, because I tried doing a lease option a long time ago, but not really. My former business partner had a lease truck, and I was actually a repo truck driver. So I'd go out and repo these different trucks for the company from other people who used to lease the trucks and couldn't pay their bills. And they would send people like me out to repo the trucks. So that was my first clue, not to lease a truck from the trucking companies. Then I met this guy. He gave me a ride on my way to go repo one of these trucks. And, you know, we hit it off pretty good. We exchanged email addresses, because this is back before cell phone days. And we would email each other on the Qualcomms. This is back when, you know, you had to buy minutes, and you can email each other on email address on a Qualcomm. And back when we had basically calling cards and payphones. So we just communicated via Qualcomm every once in a while. And of course, you know, any old school truck drivers know you had to learn some kind of, it was like shorthand for truck drivers. We abbreviated everything. So it was funny because, you know, it's like I said, everything was abbreviated. And but anyways, he was having trouble making his truck payments because he had child support. I had child support too. So he asked me if I wanted to run team with him, and we worked out a deal, a win-win solution for the both of us, to where we could both basically pay our bills, pay our child support, and we both came out ahead. And so we drove the truck together for a little while, and he was able to keep his truck because he was afraid that somebody like me would be coming to repo his truck because he couldn't hardly pay his bills. Child support was killing him. So after that, I was like, I'm not going to be an owner-operator ever again. Once we got the truck paid off, he basically,
3 miles.
I went back to being a company driver, and he went to being a diesel mechanic. He quit driving truck. And yeah, unless you find a decent company to drive truck for, it's not worth doing. It's really not worth doing. And being your own broker, that's not really worth it either, because you're not going to make a lot of money because you got all these other brokers basically brokering the loads for you and taking a cut. And they take a big cut. They say they only take 10%, but that's a bunch of crap. So, and even these trucking companies, you know, it's like they say, oh, you get 75% of the load. Well, no, you get 75% after they took probably 10 or 20% off the top. So, because they're basically charging you like a broker fee. So yeah, it's tough to make money out here. And like I said, Dividend Stocks is really the best way I've ever made any money. I've done all kinds of different things, because for a long time, I didn't get into trucking because I loved it. I got into trucking for survival because of child support. I went to school to be an architect. Looking back, you know, I don't know, maybe I would have been a good architect. Maybe I would have liked it.
Speed limit reduced ahead.
Looking back, it's not something that I want to pursue now. But I got into trucking out of survival because my child support was so high I couldn't afford to live. They wouldn't let me see my kids. I couldn't pay my bills. So I became a truck driver out of survival. Now it's a family tradition. My whole family was pretty much truck drivers. So it was like kind of a no-brainer for me to be a truck driver. I was the first one of my generation out of my cousins, my direct cousins. Maybe not my second cousins or third cousins, but out of my, direct family and first cousins, I was the first out of my generation to become a truck driver. And I had two options. I was going to go to bartending school to try to learn bartending, because I thought maybe that would pay good and get me
In half a mile, turn right onto East Jordan Street.
Give me some good money, or go to trucking, And my grandmother wanted me to do trucking, so I followed her advice and became a truck driver. And but yeah, that was my crossroads. I was either going to be a bartender or a truck driver. And it's probably best that I became a truck driver, because if I became a bartender, I'd probably have a lot more kids and a lot more child support.
1,000 feet, turn left onto Illinois, West Jordan.
But anyway, I tried all kinds of multi-level marketing companies. I tried doing IT stuff. I tried other things like tree trimming, storm chasing. Although storm chasing, if I would have stuck with it, probably would have been a good replacement income, because I was good at that. The problem was the companies I was working for weren't reputable, and I can't sell something I don't believe in. I can't. I'm not a dishonest salesperson. If somebody wants me to lie to the customer, I might maybe do it short term, but I can't do it long term. And it'll eat away at my conscience, and then I'll quit. I'll go somewhere else. You know, like when I was storm chasing, I was basically doing roofing, siding, and gutters. And I was going out and inspecting homes after storms. And if they had damages, I'd basically get them to file a claim. And get them free roofing, free siding, or free gutters. But it wasn't exactly free. You know, you had to file a claim against your insurance, and that's good or bad. I mean, it just depends. But if you have too many claims, your insurance company will get rid of you. So you got to be careful of that. But a lot of the storm chasers were not exactly honest, and they would tell their people that they had damage that they didn't really have. I was a lot more honest. I would, if I legit thought they had a claim, I would suggest that they made a claim. And I helped some people out. The problem with the company I was originally working for, they would tell the customer that they had grade A product when it was actually more like grade B product. They said it had lifetime warranty when it really only had like a 2-year warranty, I think it was. And I couldn't lie to the customer. And it just ate away at me, and I quit. Went to work for somebody else. And he was more honest with the customer, but then he screwed over his storm chasers. So it's like, I went out and got a bunch of jobs, but it would take forever to get to the jobs. And I went broke. I couldn't afford to keep working there on commission for commission that I wasn't receiving, because he wasn't getting the jobs done. So what his scam was, he would drag his feet getting the jobs done until the people quit. Then he would give those jobs to somebody else and only give them half of what they would normally earn to do the job. He would claim that he paid the other person who actually did the work to get the job, but he never did. And then he'd pocket the money. So he had his regular money that he made off the top, and then he'd pocket half of the money from the people that went out and got him the work. So he was basically scamming his workers. And so after that, I went to tree trimming, and then I went back to trucking. And I've been doing tree trimming on the side, but it's a lot of work, and I've almost lost a hand. I've almost lost my face. I almost lost fingers, and it's a very dangerous job being a tree climber, tree trimmer. And I don't know, I kind of fell out of love with it. Basically, ultimately, just went back to trucking. I've always gone back to trucking. So I like farming. There's not a lot of money in it unless you have a lot of real estate and a lot of livestock. But I do enjoy it. So it's more of a hobby, but I do try to make money off of it so that I can write it off on my taxes. Because if I don't make any money, if I don't treat it like a business, then I can't write it off on my taxes. So I do treat it like a business. I do make a little bit of money. I just don't make a lot of bit of money. And anyway, if I was there more and I had more livestock and more real estate, I could make more money. But that's why I want to get my dividends up, so I can be home more and do more farming, do more livestock, grow my own food, because all the crap you get in the grocery stores and the restaurants anymore are junk. So it's like I tried going off grid. That was not conducive. But you know, basically getting my dividends up, this has been the best thing that's happened to me financially. You could do Nancy Pelosi or somebody else stock. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. But that's day trading, and you're going to pay a higher tax. Although supposedly she's got the inside scoop. There's other people that you can invest in as well. AI, which that'll probably be my next one. Overall, 20% return on your investment, potentially. You know, there's a bunch of advertisements. How do I get out of here? Oh, they're missing some information. I will do that later. Anyway, my girlfriend's calling again. But anyhow, dividend stocks. I would take any of your extra money that you have and start investing in dividend stocks. If you have debt, invest in dividend stocks that pay more than the interest rate on your debt. When you get your debt paid down, then you can start investing in other dividend stocks as well. But it's going to take a long time to make any money off of those low dividend stocks. Now, they're going to grow on the cash value side, but you can't cash them out because you're going to pay a higher tax. So the best thing to do is invest in dividend stocks that pay good dividends and pay a lower tax, and then have whatever, a farm or whatever on the side to give you tax deductions, multi-level marketing, whatever. Have a side hustle to give you tax deductions so you pay less taxes. Then you write your house off, your car off, write everything off. That's the way to do it. Businesses and investors have the best advantages when it comes to the system. The system is rigged against the employee. So the best thing to do is become an investor. If you don't want to own your own business, become an investor, invest in these other businesses, these other gurus who are more successful than we are. Zem is another good one. Their dividend is down right now, but on average, oh, it's up. Their dividend yield is 25% right now. On average, it's 30%. But it fluctuates between 1% and 50% or 60%. So yeah, right now they're up. That's good. I'm liking that. That's why my dividend went from 4,000 to 4,060. I was wondering why that went up, because it was just 4,000 not too long ago. Then it went up to 4,600, and I was like, whoa! It's because of Zem. Like I said, it fluctuates, but on average, it pays about 30%. So Zem is a good investment to start out. Like I said, it might pay 25% today. It might pay 10% tomorrow. It might pay 50%, the next day. It won't be that dramatic, but the next quarter, every quarter, they change it according to their profits and losses. So, yeah. So just look at what they're paying overall long term, what their average dividend yield is. Look at their stability. For example, Zem, right now their stock is down. Overall, for the last 5 years, their stock is up. Long term, I think that's the same, yeah. So, they've been in business since, I don't know, 1940 something, I think. It's an Israeli company, which I'm not a fan of their government right now, but I'm not sure where to see more about Zem. It doesn't have a learn more about them thing here. You have to Google that. But Zem is one of my favorite investments. Let's see here. So when I first started investing, they were only paying like $2 a share, $2.50 a share. Then it went up to $17 a share, then down to $2 a share. Blah blah blah. Then it dropped all the way down to like 23 cents a share. Went back up to 93 cents, then 3.65. What the fuck? You cut me off and then you slam on the brakes, you dumbass. Then it dropped to 74 cents a share, 6 cents a share. It's like we're on this 2-lane road. This guy passes me because I'm going too slow. Then he gets in front of me and then he slows down. What the hell? Assholes. But anyways, so December's payout is going to be 31 cents per share, and then April's payout is going to be $3.17 a share. So there you go. Yeah, it's all based on their profits, what they can afford to pay. And what I've learned about these overseas shipping container companies is they pay their CEOs dividends. So they're paying us the same way they pay their CEOs. And those are the ones you want to invest in, because the CEOs are basically making the same amount of money as we are. They just earn shares via their work, where we have to buy shares. And so it's all the same, really. We buy the shares, they earn the shares. And probably some of their employees too. But yeah. Any CEO that is basically making money off their shares, those are the ones you definitely want to invest in, because those are the ones where you're going to make the most money. Because the CEO is looking out for your best interest. Because that's how they get paid too. But anyways, I love Zim. Zim's awesome.
Right curve ahead.
They did really good during COVID, but then they pretty much leveled out from where they started. But I got most of my money in EETH, which is a not Bitcoin. It's a Ethereum ETF, and then there's several Bitcoin ETFs. There's BITO, BTF, and then my brother discovered by accident BETH. I was trying to tell him about EETH, and he thought I said BETH. So he accidentally discovered a new Bitcoin ETF. So he's got like $500. I've got like $50 worth of BETH, and it pays about 45% return on your investment. Not too bad. I didn't have a lot of money to throw into it, so I just bought 2 shares. That one you have to buy by the share. Some of them you can buy a dollar amount. Some of them they make you buy by the share. So, like MVO, that was paying 73%, 72% return on your investment. Their stock is down though. That's kind of a iffy one because their stock is struggling right now. So I'm not actually investing in that one right yet. They paid out in October. They pay quarterly. So we'll see what they pay again in December. But I don't have a whole lot of money there. I got 8 shares, so I got $60 invested. I've lost 51 of it. The dividend yield was lower, so I've only made $6 in dividends. So I haven't broken even with this one yet. I'm actually losing money. But I'm making money on other ones. So if this one recovers, then I'll be okay. But if it don't recover, well, I'll still be okay because I've got money coming in from other stocks that are doing better. So mostly I'm focusing on dividends. I'm not worried about the cash value side so much. I don't want the company to go bankrupt, but I'm not worried about making money on the cash value side. I'm not a day trader. I'm mostly investing for a passive income so that I have, a monthly income. And I mostly invest in stocks that pay monthly, which takes me to crypto. There is crypto stacking that I call it a dividend, but it's actually, they pay an interest and you can make up to 12% return on your investment depending on what coin you invest in, provided the coin doesn't go bankrupt. So I'm basically buying 10 coins of each crypto that I can afford to buy. Starting with the stacking coins. And then I'll buy more stacking coins than I will the other stuff. Based on the interest that they pay, based on their stability. And because crypto stacking pays weekly, but I don't think they pay you in cash. It doesn't look like they pay in cash. It looks like they pay in crypto. So say you're getting 10% return on your investment. You buy 10 coins. After 1 year, you got 1 coin. So now you got 11 coins. And so I think that's how it works. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I haven't done a lot of research in crypto stacking because that's not my main focus. My main focus is dividend stocks because I believe they're a lot more stable. But I do want to buy at least 10 coins of every cryptocurrency just in case one of them becomes the next Bitcoin. Then I'll cash out, roll the money over into dividends, or do like Elon Musk does and borrow the money against the crypto and then roll that money over into dividends. And then if the crypto goes bankrupt, well, I'll just write it off as a loss. And if it's successful, great. And then I'll use my dividends to pay back the money that I borrowed against the crypto. But anyways, there's a truck stop here. I gotta go to the bathroom, and I gotta call my girlfriend back. But yeah, I just wanted to say I've made more money doing this. You know, profits and losses. I've made more money doing this than any other investment, project, business, whatever that I've tried to do.
Turn at the first right onto North Left Highway.
That includes trucking. Now, I know a lot more about what I'm doing now than I used to. I got into transportation in 1995. Started driving tractor trailer in 1998. So I've been doing this for a couple minutes. I guess I'll go over here, do a pull through. Fuel island's full. I just gotta go to the bathroom. So I've been doing this for a minute. I have a better idea of what I'm doing now than I used to. And so I could be more successful at being an owner-operator than I was in the past because I know more about what to do, what not to do, how to make money, how to save money, so on and so forth. Am I going to buy a truck? Probably not, but I am toying with the idea, so it might be an option. If I can make more money to put into dividend stocks, then that's what I'm going to do. And then I can retire even sooner. Oh, and on that one video, I said it would take me 6 years at the rate that I'm going now to retire, but I did my math wrong. It's 12 years at the rate of what I'm doing now. But that's not considering compounding interest. So considering compounding interest, it might be less than 10 years. But if I can double my income and dump that money into dividend stocks, then it might be 5 years. So there you go. All right, talk to you later. Party on. Bye. good luck. Check out Minority Mindset. Even if you don't do this hardcore like I do, they say only 1% of people will actually do this. But even if you don't do it hardcore like I'm doing it, at least do it a little bit. Put money in the S&P 500. ETFs like that. Follow the Minority Mindset guy. He'll teach you which ones to put your money in if you want a long-term safe investment. And then at least that way you'll have a nest egg when you retire, because we all know we're not going to be able to depend on Social Security. And another thing, last but not least, get a Roth IRA. Do not get a traditional IRA. I made that mistake when I first started out. I ended up converting everything to a Roth IRA. I lost some money because I had to pay penalties and interest. But with a Roth IRA, you can make about 15% return on your investment and not have to pay any taxes on it. If you do it individually like this, you're going to have to pay 20% tax unless you have some kind of side hustle to give you tax deductions. But with the Roth IRA, it's zero tax. So you got 15% return on your investment with no tax. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to build this up to be equal value to my IRA. And then I'm going to grow it and my IRA together side by side. So I'll have to pay 20% on this, but I won't have to pay anything on the IRA. This is all dividend stocks where I can live off of, but the IRA won't all be dividend stocks. It'll be cash value and dividend stocks, but I can still cash out the cash value stuff and not pay taxes. But day trading normally is basically income tax, where dividend stocks is like a 20% tax. So that's the other reason why not to day trade, because you're going to pay a higher tax. And then unless you're doing a Roth IRA. So don't do 401ks unless they match it. If they match the 401k, only put in what they will match. If they'll match, like, I don't know, it's been a long time since I've done 401k, but most companies, I don't stay with them long enough to even have a 401k. But the ones I did, I think they matched like up to like a certain amount. So what you do is you just put in the amount that they will match. Then you get 100% return on your investment, and only put in that much. Then put in money into your IRA, and then also put money into like the S&P 500 and things like that, and grow those three, where your company is giving you 100% return on your investment. The IRA is giving you about 15% return on your investment. S&P, I don't even know what they give you. I have S&P, I think. It only pays 2%, so it's not going to give you a huge return on your investment. Now, this is only one of the S&Ps out there. There's more than one. Yeah, shut up. Okay. So, there's more than one. This one's only paying 2%. But follow the .Indian guy, Minority Mindset guy. He'll point you in the right direction. He will point you in the right direction to the better, lower yielding dividend stocks. I got some high risk, I got some medium risk, I got some low risk stocks. But right now what I'm trying to do is build up my dividends as quickly as I can with as little risk as possible, but I'm still taking some risks. And then So, for example, all right, this stock is up for the last 5 years. It looks good, right? So it pays 2%, I'll throw in $20. If it paid 20%, I would throw in $200. Now, if this stock was down, say, for the last 5 years, then I would only... Oh, yes, I cashed some out because the stock went up, and I wanted to roll it over into a higher yielding dividend stock. So anyways, so because this one pays 2% and the stock is up for the last 5 years, I would throw in $20. But if it was down for the last 5 years, I would only throw in $2. That way I'm still putting something in. So if the cash value goes up, then I'm making some money on the cash value. If it does better later, then cool, I'm getting some dividends. It's only a couple pennies, but I'm getting something. But if the stock's doing good over the last 5 years, then it's a stable stock. It's doing good. So it's something worth investing in. You can look at it even longer than that if you want. This has been just growing. But the S&P 500 is basically the top 500 companies in the world or the country. There's different S&Ps. You have S&P for the USA. You have S&P for Europe. You have global S&Ps. This is the Aristocrat ETF, S&P 500. You know, there's different ones. Some pay like 5%. So, but then you also got to look at the fees. If their fees are too high, their fees are going to take away from the yield that you're getting, and they're going to take away from your profit. So you got to look at that too. But yeah, the minority mindset guy, he'll basically teach you everything you need to know, or most everything you need to know. He'll get you on the right path, and then you can venture off on your own, whichever direction you want to go. But definitely follow him. And like I said, if you have 401k option, I would only put in what the company matches. That way you get 100% return on your investment. Then when you leave, roll that over to your IRA. Make sure you have a Roth IRA, and make sure you're growing your Roth IRA alongside of your own individual stocks, dividend stocks, that is going to give you some income, because you're not going to be able to depend on Social Security. So we got to look out for ourselves now. But anyways, I got to go. I got to go to the bathroom. Got to call my girlfriend back. So there you go. Making progress. Making progress.